I'd like to welcome you, Arno Aaldijk from Logica, all the way from Finland here. Come on stage and do your thing.
Okay, I don't know if it's necessary to do a sound check. I suppose everybody can hear me. Okay, thanks Mark for the very friendly introduction.
There you go.
There we are. Yeah, the thing is, I'll introduce myself also a bit, maybe using slightly different terms than Mark used. My name is Arno Aaldijk and I work for Logica. And in fact, I work for Logica Finland. I've just come over on Saturday. Even though originally I am actually from the Netherlands, I've been living for the past 12 years in Finland. I went to university there, and I think my second job in Finland later turned out to be for the company that became part of Logica. And I think that I was also in a very fortunate position in my time there, because I was also part of a very exciting time. Finland in 99, 98, 2000 was a very exciting place. We had Nokia, which turned from a very boring and not very successful company into a huge megastar. And we had a whole ecosystem of little companies around it, which were about to change the world. And Finland was the mobile leader at the time. We had the highest penetration of mobile phone usage. We had all kinds of very interesting new business ideas. And what I would like to do in this presentation is tell a very personal story about my own experiences at the time. Like, how did we experience it? And also, what are the similarities with what we're seeing at the moment? What are the differences? What are we doing at the moment? And maybe what can be learned from that for the future. Okay, this is where I went to school around 98. It's Helsinki University of Technology. I studied telecommunications technology, industrial engineering and management. And a lot of the course programs were very heavily influenced by Nokia, because basically Nokia was our next door neighbor. It's just a couple of 100 meters down the road from the campus. This was another important place in that time. I don't know if anybody recognizes it actually, but it is a bar called Molly Malone's. And that is where all the cool and hip and happening people were getting together in 2000 and 2001 to do something that they called Mobile Monday. So this is the place where the very first Mobile Mondays were being held in 2000. And what were people talking about in those days? It was about this type of stuff. And these are authentic pictures that I've been cutting from old PowerPoint slides that were lying around in our company. Some of these are more interesting than others. You can see that the concept phone that Nokia had there in 2000 actually already had quite a lot of thinking that we're seeing right now. It's a touch phone, and in the right top corner there's actually a navigator already there. So Nokia did have some good ideas at the time, but they just weren't able to realize them. We had a Coca-Cola vending machine in the canteen in the university, which worked on basis of SMS. And SMS, in any case, was a very magical thing. We had premium rate SMS, and we could use the SMS to pay for car wash, and especially ringtones and icons, because market research was proving that consumers have an insatiable need for ringtones and icons, and all those graphs were growing straight off the chart. So companies started developing sophisticated offerings for ringtones and icons, because that's, after all, what people really wanted. Actually, the last thing that I want to show is EOBox, which was a company established in 1999 by a Finnish guy who made web-based email and SMS services. And then within 16 months, he was able to sell it to Telefonica for 230 million euros in cash. So, I mean, that's how crazy the times was. Market research was proving that this was a total booming sector. It went from 0 to 100 in just a couple of short years, and a lot of people were very interested in being part of that. And also Nokia, of course. This was Nokia's portal solution. It was called Club Nokia, and it was a place where people can buy ringtones and icons, and later also other things. And if you close your eyes a little bit and look at the slide, then you might actually see something that's quite similar to Apple's App Store, but then with ringtones and icons. Now we get to the LBS part of the story, and this is like the personal part of the story, because our company was a joint venture between Logica, between the company that I worked for, IT services company, and Nokia, to make a location-based services platform for Club Nokia. And we were quite ambitious. We thought we could do MMS maps, find nearest pizzas, friend finder, routing, navigation, all that sort of stuff. And the technology that we had was more or less ready. The model was the same with the ringtones and icons. We thought if people will spend 50 cents on a premium rate SMS for a ringtone, then they might also be able to spend the same amount on location-based services. And the model is also the same. You have the data providers, National Land Surveys, Teleatlas, Navtec. Then you have a data aggregator, that was us. And then you have the portal, which would be the handy place where consumers could go to. And then the revenue model was mainly microtransactions, subscriptions, and then for the operators there was airtime revenue. Nokia was also selling this platform to the operators, another revenue model, etc. Advertising and sponsoring wasn't really seriously considered at the time, even though I think we should have. Okay. This is what it looked like, our WAP application. And this was a miracle. People were really like gathering around the phone to see how cool this was. A lot of effort and trouble was spent in gathering all the content, because you know, Teleatlas and Navtec were two Dutch companies. They were still in the middle of gathering all their data, driving around and completing all their catalogs. And we had contracts with both of them, and we were gathering from separate national land surveys to try to get as much content as possible for this Club Nokia portal. But unfortunately and sadly, it just didn't work out. Actually, looking back, there's of course no way that it could have worked. There were a lot of factors that made it very difficult. But maybe the most important direct reason that it failed, or that the whole portal failed, was actually the mobile phone operators. Because I'm not sure that everybody is thinking about this all the time, but in fact, a company like Nokia only has about 200 customers that they really care about, and that's the operators. They don't really care about the consumers, because it's the operator that make the purchasing decisions for what they're going to put in their stores. So the operators hated Club Nokia, because for the past 10, 15 years, operators have been really trying to prevent turning themselves into a bid pipe. And Club Nokia was a threat to their position as owner of the consumer. So another small factor is that end users actually didn't want to pay for the types of maps and routes that we were able to deliver. Advertisers didn't want to buy advertising space. Technology wasn't ready. Everything was built on cell ID, EOTD positioning technology. And the costs were totally horrible. Our platform was based on Oracle. When we placed the purchase for the main licenses for making everything run in a production environment, our Oracle account manager actually went on a holiday for 3 months. And it was the biggest single deal that they have been doing in Finland for years. Okay, now I'll go very quickly fast forward towards the future. Around 2003, it became clear that, well, the whole initial hype phase was over. It wasn't just us who were suffering, it was also a company like Nebraska, a company like Maporama that had been investing even more than us, building platforms, building relationships with the operators and trying to offer generic location-based services. And we saw that nobody was really focusing on yellow page companies, so we decided that, okay, we'll go after that. Going quickly further. After kissing with us, Nokia decided that they would like to have some more friends. So they cooperated quite closely with another company called Navicore. Here, 2005, something really spectacular happened. Google launched Google Maps, and we were totally blown away with the result. And the initial effect on us was that all our customers started calling us saying that we want something quite similar to that. And we had very good years in those years. Microsoft was quite quickly after that. Then Nokia finally decided what they wanted, and they bought a German company called Gate 5 that had a fairly good navigation solution for mobile phones. And then the big happening was actually 2007. Nokia launched finally a navigation solution on their phone. iPhone was launched, and then people thought that, okay, maybe this location-based services market is going to happen after all. TomTom bought Teleatlas for a lot of money, and then Nokia thought that, okay, like there's a unique capability here, this map content that cannot be duplicated. Let's buy Navteq for 5.7 billion, and then everybody who wants to have location-based services on their phone will have to buy the content from us, and we'll get rich from other people's phones. And then they also ended up with yet another mapping platform in Mapsalute. Okay, quickly forward. TomTom announces a 99 euro navigation solution for iPhone. Google launches MapMaker, and then Vodafone eventually ends up with Wayfinder, Navicore, although most of the Finnish guys that started Navicore had been moved to Gate 5 at that point. Okay, and then eventually this year, quite interestingly, first Google dropped Navteq, and then they renegotiated the deal with Teleatlas that they could basically do anything they wanted with the data. And then finally they said that, well, actually we don't need you for the United States anymore, and we believe that maybe in the future they won't need them for the rest of Europe anymore. Okay, so these were all very dramatic, shocking developments. So we decided, well, you know, for us, the generic location-based services don't really work. The business-to-consumer market is more or less settled. And actually, now that we think about it, location-based services might not be such a good idea, because location as it is not really a business model. And what we want to offer is maybe location-enhanced services, where the solution is only partially based on location, but it builds on the rest of our strengths. So, for example, intelligent transportation, enterprise resource planning, etc. Here's an example of one of our current location-based services. If you're in the Mobile Monday in Helsinki and you get a heart attack, then it will be our location-based service in the ambulances which is used to coordinate which ambulance is going to be sent to you, and what is the information that flows between the hospital and the ambulances. We provide that sort of solutions. This is what it looks like. I'm a bit behind schedule, so I quickly go through it, but if you want, I can actually show this application. It runs on my phone as well. Another example is enterprise resource planning. This is something that Logica does. We have big accounts. We've been offering very boring crew scheduling systems, asset tracking systems, but actually if you add a map to it, then even higher management can suddenly follow where all the assets are and what people are doing. And that looks like something like this. This is a solution for coordinating all the ground operations in Helsinki Airport. Then there's a couple of other solutions that we're offering. Intelligent transportation solutions. Mark already said it in his introduction, we are using the knowledge and the technologies that we've been building up over the years to do stuff like dynamic road pricing, stuff like that. So, if we now compare where we have ended up with where we started 10 years from now, well, it's clear to say that we haven't really achieved all that we put on our PowerPoint slides at the time, and some things have changed along the way. The whole thinking 10 years ago was about portals, walled gardens, who owns the consumer? Is it the operator? Is it external service providers, etc.? Micropayments. We had, like every other slide that I look back at, had all those Gartner and Ovum slides that just keep on going up exponentially. But people didn't really think that, like, well, you know, if you look at the graphs of Furby sales in 2002, then you also see that going up. But that didn't go on forever either. And actually, with location-based services, if I look at ourselves and Mapporama and Webraska, then there is a first mover disadvantage. Mapporama had a wonderful, complete global mapping platform already in 2000. But they just weren't able to monetize it because the market wasn't ready and the technology wasn't ready. And, well, Google came many years later and was able to offer something that did make an impact. Well, the differences are all quite obvious. Let's look at some of the similarities. Well, one thing that was true 10 years ago and true now is that Nokia knows that it needs to turn itself into a services company, but it's just the practicalities of doing it is a bit difficult. There's the same atmosphere and the same enthusiasm, like the same feeling that I've been getting from talking to people in this audience was exactly the same atmosphere that we had when we started in 2001. It's still not entirely sure, at least not to me, that there is that there is a lot of money to be made in consumer location-based services, that people really want to spend a lot of money for that. Maybe it's just a commodity. And then you will only know for sure the difference between like true potential and hype, like when you wake up the next morning and you get the bill and you have to clean up the party. So, I don't have a Mac at home. Okay, so what does the future look like? And that is still quite a difficult question. A couple of things are clear to me. First of all, location will be a component which will be used in more and more businesses to make existing business processes and existing things that people are doing with their lives a little bit easier. But location as a pure product is probably has never been a good offering. If I could go back in time to 2001, then I would at least tell myself that open source software and open source content is going to be terribly important. None of us saw that coming, that instead of spending all this money on Oracle, we could have basically done a lot of development with PostgreSQL and PostGIS instead. Maybe as a final message is that, like, you know, the same basic lessons of business still apply. It is good to have a vision, and it is good to have PowerPoint slides, and it's good to have really cool ideas, but then actually taking this idea to sustainable competitive advantage and something that really provides value to your customers and that your customers are going to be willing to pay for continuously. That just requires a lot of hard work and a lot of very boring capabilities in project management, process management, quality management, etc. And that's what we had to learn the hard way. But, you know, I guess we got a bit stronger afterwards. All right, Ian. Thank you.
Thank you. My apologies if I was a bit harsh on their introduction. You just took me off the cloud. We have time for one question for the audience. Someone? Anyone?
Any questions?
They always are. A
No
question to
questions.
Bobby, do you have the mic?
Usually in Finland there's no questions.
No questions.
Well, there's one.
Do you believe that Nokia acquiring that company for, what was it, 4.5 billion euros?
5.7 billion
5.7
euros
billion.
in offtake. Yeah.
Was that a good idea, and how is it actually driving sustainable competitive advantage?
Well, to be honest, I can't give you an answer to that. I didn't understand it then. I think the thinking was that in order to run location-based services businesses, you need to have some unique assets that cannot be copied. Making map data has always been a very expensive process that takes tens of years. You need to drive around with a car with GPS, and you need to actually gather all the spatial data. I think everybody's just surprised how quickly OpenStreetMap is developing, and how quickly a company like Google is able to go to different sources, the US Geographical Office, Cadastre in the Netherlands, National Land Survey in Finland, acquire different data sets and put them together, and do some crowdsourcing as well. So I guess the whole value of the asset that they bought, which was the navigation data, the street data, became a lot less valuable quite quickly.
Thank you again, Arno.
Thank you.